call the meeting to order. Everyone please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Ashley, can I have roll call, please?
Briggs.
Here.
Cavalier.
Here.
Brecken.
Here.
Plot.
Here.
Menard. Hibma.
Here.
Jurdy. Here. Fisher.
Here.
Okay, it's time for the open forum. If anyone would like to address council on any issue not already on tonight's agenda, may come to the podium, state your first, last name and address, please. Hearing nothing from the chambers. Anybody on the phone bridge, please?
Nobody on the phone bridge, Your Honor.
Thank you. We have one presentation tonight, and it's Community Economic Extension Educator, Retail Trade Analyst, and Local Option Sales Tax. Rani, I refuse to try to pronounce your last name.
Bhattacharyya.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you, sir. I am, respected council members, I am really appreciative for this opportunity to present to you again on the work that I do for Polk County as well as the city of Crookston.
Thanks, Rani.
So, back in, I think, November of 2024, Carrie Kirschbaum approached me to actually work with my team to undertake a retail trade analysis and a local option sales tax for the city of Crookston. So the council members and the administrator would have a baseline understanding of the retail activity, not only within the city, but within the county as a whole. And so the large reports that you have in front of you today are summarized in the smaller PowerPoint that I'll be reviewing with you during the presentation today. But I just wanted to provide some background that both of these are two offerings of our retail trade service programs that we provide. And I have done also a market area profile study last year with the downtown businesses. That was also something that I reported to the council, I believe. No, Carrie didn't have me report that one to the council. But so there's been a lot of retail research into the city. And I think that means that there's some plans on the part of Carrie and her team to really try to revitalize the downtown area. And I just wanted to say that I've been trying to help her with these reports, and I appreciate the city's efforts to try and support her in that effort as well. So to begin with, I really want to provide a University of Minnesota Extension background, and then some takeaways from the retail trade analysis for 2024, takeaway from the local option sales tax from 2024, and then a synthesis and conclusions and discussion at the end of my presentation. Next slide. One thing I would like to share is that Minnesota, the University of Minnesota College of Extension, based on the Twin Cities campus, does have an extension education model that we follow with all of our programs, which includes research, education, and value. And we're always trying to keep information flowing between these three aspects of our work, wherever we do, whatever we do, either in the field or in our offices. Next slide. Within the College of Extension down in the Twin Cities, I do work in the Department of Community Development. And here is some background information about that department. I won't go into it, but I will say that our department has been around for, I think, for at least 30 years now. And what we do is we provide support for local leadership and local civic leaders, like community leaders and grassroots organizations, to help actualize their various community development aspirations, whether it be training through leadership or economic analysis or through tourism development. Next slide. In 2022, we actually reported this information to the federal government. It's based on a framework called the Community Capitals Framework, which classifies the assets of a community under 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different categories. And as you can see, we mobilized 100% of the human capital that was in 37 of our programs in 2022. 2022. And 97% of the social capital, 89% of the civic capital, 65% of the financial capital in the communities we serve, 60% of the cultural capital, 30% of the build capital, and 16% of the natural capital. More information about the community capitals framework can be found at the bottom of the slide. And then within the Department of Community Development, I work specifically within the program of community economics, which our goals are listed here. You can look at that in more detail when you have some time. But our program specifically addresses communities' needs for economic analysis, sometimes on the macro level, but most of the time on the micro level. And the majority of our work is actually done on using county level data, but we do use microdata to do some city specific work like we've done with this retail trade analysis. Our data sources are varied. They come from the Federal Government Bureau of Labor Statistics as well as the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development and the Minnesota Department of Revenue. For this specific report, the retail trade analysis report, the data is based on revenue reports that come from the Minnesota Department of Revenue, all of the counties in Minnesota. And the data used in this 2024 report is actually reporting on 2022 activity, because that's the most current data that the Department of Revenue issues publicly on their website. And in 2022, there was a change in the reporting classifications of revenue that businesses are required to report in. And so throughout the state, there was no reporting of any income earned in leisure services or miscellaneous retail. So that's why that retail trade analysis is so thick that you have in your hand, because we did a standard RTA report that includes the revenue that is reported, and then we for miscellaneous retail without the categories that are no longer reported in miscellaneous retail, and then we did one without leisure services and miscellaneous retail just to clear out the reporting format for moving forward from this point on into the future, because we don't think that leisure services and miscellaneous will be, or it's general retail that has been changed, but for the purposes of Crookston, it's grouped into miscellaneous retail because we don't have any general retail providers in the city. So based on that report, the strongest retail sectors for Crookston in 2022 was building materials at 24.5%, earning 24.5% of the city's revenue. Food and beverages, which was 16.5%, which is 16.5% of the retail revenue. And we attribute that to the late cabin effect in the summer, with people coming in from Grand Forks and other places and traveling up onto Lake of the Woods for their resort activities up there, or out to Maple Lake. And then lodging was at 9.8% of the retail revenue, and eating and drinking was 30.7% of the revenue, retail revenue earned in 2022. And lastly, repair services was 10.2%.
Rani, can I ask a question? Yep. So do we assume that the like cabin effect is the case here because a majority of like the money that was spent was during the summer months? What's the assumption that that's
Yes.
okay?
Yes. I did talk about this with Administrator Schubert and Carrie Kirschbaum as well, that with like a perfect example of this is the development of the Casey's store along that road that heads up into the northeast corner of Minnesota, or north central corner of Minnesota. And I do see, like, just me being somebody that drives back and forth on the road, Highway 2, I do see an uptick in traffic that makes that route on Friday every day. So not every Friday is what I meant to say. And I've heard from a lot of people just within Crookston as well that they do have lake properties on Maple Lake. And so they are probably picking up their supplies on Friday and then heading out to the lake for the weekend. And so it's a mixed bag as to, I think there's more retail activity, lake effect activity with Maple Lake than there is with Lake of the Woods. But I still think Lake of the Woods effect is significant because of your proximity to Grand Rapids, or Grand Forks, I'm sorry.
Sure.
And I mean, I know just from casual conversation with some folks that I know in Grand Forks that they do have properties up in Lake of the Woods, and they do stop off at the grocery stores in Crookston on the way out. Eating and drinking stores are the largest contributor of taxable sales in Crookston's economy. This category again counted for 9.8 million in taxable sales in 2022, making up 38.7% of all taxable sales. However, between 2021 and 2022, the category saw a negative 9.3% decrease in sales. The largest increase in dollar sales was in the category of lodging, which increased by 0.2 million in total sales from 2.92 in 2021 to 3.13 million in 2022. This category made up again 9.8% of all taxable sales in Crookston in 2022. Next slide. Oh, you're already there. Okay. So some additional takeaways from the retail trade analysis report is that since 2011, the number of firms in Crookston has dropped by 34, from 146 to 112. And the ability of the city to attract customers from outside the city has dropped by 0.45 pull factor points. And that means a pull factor is a calculation that's used to determine how much of a destination sales comes from outside this jurisdiction. And in ideal circumstances, communities really want to look for a pull factor that's close or at least within proximity to the number 1.0 on the scale. And in this case, back in 2011, Crookston had a 0.82 pull factor, and now it's down to 0.37. So there's been a significant loss in the number of customers that come to Crookston for their retail sales activity. The strongest retail sectors that Crookston can build on are vehicle and parts, furniture, electronics and appliances, clothing and accessories. And these I highlight in bold because they are what are considered specialty stores. And in another report that we published a few years back about the effect of Walmart on rural communities throughout the state, we did see significant growth in specialty stores after Walmarts were established and operating in the communities for at least 10 years. So the more specialty stores in retail that the city of Crookston can attract, the more viable their tenure in the community will be when in competition with Walmart and other general retail stores that may come into town. Additional retail sectors that can be included in Crookston's search for new vendors includes health and personal care stores, as well as gas stations. Next slide. Additional takeaways from the retail trade analysis report is that Crookston is underperforming in its expected sales, the data of which can be found on page 17 of the report. And Crookston draws about 17% of all Polk County retail sales. Polk County has also seen a decline in the number of businesses as well since 2011, from 616 to 573, with a loss of about 43 businesses. Polk County is also underperforming in expected sales as well, the data of which can be found on page 29. Retail sales per capita in these different sectors include Crookston, $1,807 per person, Polk County, $3,539 per person, Northwest Minnesota, $4,166 per person, and state, $6,895 per person. Does anybody have any questions about those numbers?
For analysis, I mean, would you, from what you were looking at, would you assume it's people going over to Grand Forks and that's where we're losing? I mean, other than Amazon and all of those, but.
I would assume it would be Amazon, or it would be Grand Forks, you're correct. We're part of the Grand Forks Metropolitan Statistical Area.
Okay.
So we're considered a suburb of Grand Forks by the US government.
Yeah.
When you're referring to pull factor, you're talking about like what keeps people here to shop retail wise? Is that what you're referring to?
Pull factor is usually depends on the retail mix, like the diversity of your retail mix. The more diverse your retail mix is, usually the higher your pull factor, if that helps.
Okay.
Moving on to the next one, next slide. I will now be moving over to the local option sales tax report, which is the lighter colored report in your packet. It's the second one. This is based on 2021 data because, again, there were changes to the 2022 data from the Department of Revenue. And based on this data, 39.6% of retail sales in Polk County, or in Crookston are derived from non-resident spending, which means that it's coming from visitors. 60.4% of sales are derived from resident spending. With a 0.5% sales tax, that would earn about $370,000 a year, and it would be at a cost of $30 per resident. If this was a 1% sales tax, it would be $740,000 a year. That would be generated annually with a $70 cost to the residents, per resident. So synthesis and conclusions. A local option sales tax would burden residents more than non-residents in all categories except eating and drinking and lodging. Crookston can diversify its retail base across the board, but it could specifically recruit specialized vehicle parts, furniture, electronics and appliances, clothing and accessories, and continue to expand its eating and drinking establishments. Are there any other questions or inquiries from the council?
Rani, can I just ask, did this analysis also say like what, like a 1% sales tax would actually like forecast out for us if we did decide to do something like that?
I did, it was about $740,000 a year.
Carrie, did you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I just wanna, thanks, Ronnie, you did a good job.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Okay.
I just wanted to explain how we got this, why we started this. There was a group of us that went up and toured the childcare center up in Warren. And throughout the tour, we were asking them how they paid for the childcare center that was built up there. And it was paid through a $1 million low interest loan from the USDA. Also, a lot of donations and fundraising, and then lastly was a sales tax. So just to figure out what we were doing, I asked Rani to help us to do a study. I worked with Rani for over 10 years on different projects, and so that's where the numbers came from, was if we did the project of that sort or some sort, what do we make? The other thing is to note that the amount of our sales tax, 60% is coming from our local people, because we're not drawing people here. So that puts over in my EDA board. We need to start looking at what can we do to bring other people to our community, to spend money, to bring those, develop those stores like what Ronnie's talking about, so that we can begin to offset that for our community as well. So, did that make sense? Sometimes you need to understand why we did something.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Okay, this brings us to the agenda. Does anyone wish to add anything to tonight's agenda? We have a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved. I'll make that
We
motion.
got Don and I got Clayton.
Second then.
Thank you. Discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier,
Aye.
Brecken,
Aye.
Clot,
Aye.
Hibma. Aye. Jurdy. Aye. Fisher.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. This brings us to the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to remove anything from the consent agenda? I have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Henry. Second by Don. Roll call, please.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Bracken.
Aye.
Plot.
Aye.
Hibma.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Fisher.
Okay, motion carries. All right, this brings us to the regular agenda. Ashley, please.
Yes, Your Honor, item 7.01 is a resolution regarding a conditional use permit with respect to parcel 82.03775.01, a real property address 410 Ingersoll Avenue to allow a daycare / licensed childcare facility.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this
So
resolution?
move, Your Honor.
Thank you, Don. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Derek. Thank you. Discussion?
Mayor, members of the council, just as an item, what's before us is conditional use permit. Planning and zoning has forwarded with a recommendation of approval, and it is in compliance with all applicable zoning and comprehensive plans.
Thank you. Nothing to add to this, Greg, or?
No, what's your questions?
Okay, thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, can I have roll call, please?
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Bracken.
Aye.
Plot.
Aye.
Hibma.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Fisher.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 7.02 is a closed session to discuss the city administrator's performance. A motion to close the meeting pursuant to Minnesota Government Data Practice Act, specifically Minnesota Statute 13D.05 subdivision 3A.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to close
This,
session?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Christie. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Delane.
roll call.
Roll call, please.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Bracken.
Aye.
Plot.
Aye.
Hibma.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Okay.
Would everybody in the council chambers be able to step outside until
meeting. The reason that we held off, we are anticipating one other firm to have a bid for us. We will have a rezone coming up at the next meeting that will be it will be in compliance with the downtown development plan. The downtown development plan identifies an area for future use as residential, and it is currently that, so that will be coming forward. And we currently have no word from Red River Valley.
Thank you. Don, anything tonight?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Derek?
No, Your Honor.
Wayne?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Morgan?
Just exciting news from the EDA and Carrie's department. We will be having we are planning on having a rodeo come in September, so that is exciting for the community. We discussed a few other things in the EDA meeting, but I thought that would be some fun, exciting things to share with the community, so.
Thank you. Christie?
And nothing to report.
Henry?
Nothing for me.
Clayton?
Chuck, I'd like to thank you and your crew for cleaning up the streets. That's the cleanest I've ever seen the Woods Edition on a daily basis, and I drive bus down there all the time. So it's nice to have the roads wide open, and the calendar parking, I think, helps a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Also kudos to what Clayton said, but typical northern Minnesota, I hate moving that crap at the end of the driveway, but so. But anyway, I have nothing else to report, so just a reminder, there's no Ways and Means or budget meeting tonight, so nothing else to come for council. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.